and it was glorious. Hello, I'm Kristen, also known as Voolenvine, here on my YouTube channel where I chat about what I've been knitting, what I've been sewing, what I've been making, or whatever crafty rabbit hole I happen to be diving down this week. And I am back from a quite long and very much needed hiatus, so thank you so much for your patience and bearing with me and coming back if you are a returning viewer. If you are a new viewer, welcome to my little corner of the interwebs. As always, I'm so happy that you're taking some time out of your day to hang out with me and chat about all the good stuff that I have piled up next to me, ready to discuss. As per usual, I have a couple of announcements before I get into all that good stuff. Of course, we have our history make-along that is currently underway. That is our year-long make-along in which we are endeavoring to make anything historically inspired prior to the 1950s, be it knitting, sewing, crochet, weaving, embroidery, whatever your craft is, you're welcome to join. Choose a time period or era that you're drawn to and make something inspired by it. And to join, you can do that by hopping over to the Voolenvine Ravelry group or using the hashtag HistoryMAL and sharing your works in progress and projects over on Instagram. And come March 1st, 2021, I'm going to end the make-along and choose a winner at random for a special giveaway prize, and it should be a good time. But yeah, definitely check out that hashtag. Lots of inspiring, fun, beautiful projects happening and the like. As far as other announcements go, this is more of a housekeeping note. And yes, if you are a returning viewer, you are probably aware that I have been publishing about 2 videos per week. And that all came about once COVID-19 got really scary. Everyone was staying at home, and I felt inspired to publish 2 videos a week because I enjoy doing it, and I know you enjoy, hopefully enjoy watching my videos. So I thought it would be a really fun opportunity to just, get a little creative with the channel. And I will say, while I do enjoy creating more content and videos for you, I realize that I kind of have to dial it back. So yes, I am coming back from about a 2-week hiatus of not publishing a video because I will be completely honest and transparent with you. I burned out. Between managing my hand-dyed yarn company, Voolenvine Yarns, recording a podcast, uploading it, doing all of the admin, managerial stuff that comes along with that, editing, and life, it got a little much. So unfortunately, I had to call it and take some time off. I'm back this week, fully recharged, ready to get back at it. And again, thank you so much for your patience. But I do realize that putting out 2 videos per week is just not sustainable. I realize I do have to slow my roll and go back to publishing only 1 video per week. And I'm sure you can understand, and I hope you guys don't mind, but hopefully that means that, I can show up, be 100%, and put out a quality, fun video for you every week. So that's my PSA housekeeping note of the week. But yes, I do hopefully have a very fun show for you guys this week. Lots to catch you up on because yes, again, it's been 2 weeks since I recorded anything. So gather around, grab a cup of something, and let's chat about it. All right, my friends, we have a hoe, a half-finished object. And you may have caught wind of this on my Instagram feed because I cast this on about 2 weeks ago. It's a ladies jumper by Sirdar, number 1475. And this is a vintage pattern that was published, I believe, in 1952. So I guess it kind of qualifies for my history make-along because I do say find a project prior to the 1950s, but it's my make-along. I think I can break the rules if I want to. But again, like if you do find a project that is within the 1950s, that is completely fine. I will make an exception for that. So, but yeah, so this is a vintage pattern by Sirdar, and it's being knit out of my hand-dyed yarns, Voolenvine yarns, in my Voolenvine number 9 colorway. And yes, it is gloriously mauve. This is the second time that I'm actually knitting a sweater or a garment in this colorway, but if you recall, the first time I knit a jumper in this colorway, Voolenvine number 9, it was when I knit the Zweig by Caitlin Hunter. However, that was the first incarnation of that colorway, and to be honest, that was a little bit too pink for my liking, so I revisited the recipe and revised it so it's darker, more muted, and with more, I want to say, brown undertones, so it's not so pink, if that makes any sense. So here we are. This looks like some wonky shaped hat or something, or funnel, if you will. But this is a sleeve. This is one sleeve of the sweater. And I probably will have popped a photo here so you know what it looks like in all its glory. But it's going to look something like this. And I think, is this the back or the front? I have no idea which is the back or the front, but it's gonna go something like this. So yeah, so the sleeve is gonna be here, and then it's gonna come over here, and I'm going to graft the sweater. Once I'm done with the second sleeve, I'm going to graft it down the center right here and then in the back. So this is going to look, oh, guys, this pattern has been on my Ravelry queue, I think ever since I joined Ravelry 10, 11 years ago. Oh, time flies. But anyway, I don't know what, honestly, I really don't know what compelled me to cast this on. I think because none of my current projects were really calling out to me, I didn't really feel like working on them. You know, I was just browsing my Ravelry queue and I saw this and I was like, you know what? I've been wanting this for such a long time. And I have to say, I can't remember the last time I've been so addicted to a pattern. For a vintage pattern, it's surprisingly easy to knit. The stitches are incredibly intuitive, easy to memorize, and you know, looking at vintage patterns, you know, you will realize that the dialogue or the language that they use is completely different from the pattern language that we know today, from modern patterns. You know, modern patterns have a way of holding your hand, breaking things down, explaining everything, whereas vintage patterns use some different abbreviations, and they have different terminologies, and they're a little bit cryptic, not gonna lie, as is this pattern. But, you know, if you take things one step at a time, everything's pretty self-explanatory. And while the text is very dense on the page and kind of makes me go bug-eyed after a while, I will say I'm so grateful for a knitter who knit this pattern and took the time to chart out the lace. That is very helpful. Anyway, this is where I am with this pattern. And yeah, I have already cast on the second sleeve. So here we are, again, US 1, and then once I'm done knitting the ribbing for the sleeve, I go up to a US 3, I believe, yes. So again, I did not gauge swatch because I like to live on the edge and I'm a monster. And yeah, so I have a feeling this one's going to completely fly off my needles because again, I could not put this down. It was just, it's just filled me up in so many ways that my other projects have not been doing. Oh, and the other thing that I want to touch on is the sizing. Unfortunately, the pattern is not size inclusive. It only comes in 3 sizes. There's a 34, 36, and 38 inch size bust. And as if you've been following this channel for a while, you are probably aware that I am a size 32, which is the reason why I, you know, after investigating the needle sizes on Ravelry, I decided to downsize my needle because I knew that I would have that. I'm not a 34 and I don't really want too much positive ease, if at all any positive ease in the finished garment. If you are good with math, which I clearly am not, I'm sure you can finagle and tweak the pattern, you know, with gauge and everything, and size it up for yourself or down for yourself. Again, I'm crossing my fingers, hoping that my choice in needle size will pan out for the best. But watch this space. We shall find out in due time. Next up is a project that I've been making lots of progress on. And yes, my friends, I've started grafting together my Battenberg blanket. Guys, I have not, aside from my Sirdar sweater, I have not been able to put this down, guys. It is just everything my heart and soul needs. I am completely addicted. And this is a pattern by Cherry Heart, I believe, on Ravelry. It's a free crochet pattern, and you will recall that I initially cast on a pattern by Casapinka called the Blanket of Calm, which is pretty much identical to the Battenberg blanket by Cherry Heart. Both are free patterns, so it's kind of like a pick your poison type of situation. However, I decided to switch to calling it the Battenberg blanket because for a few reasons. One, because my yarn choices actually do make it look like a Battenberg cake. The yarn that I'm using is Bergère de France in their Gumi 50 beige colorway. I knit a pair of socks using this yarn and completely fell in love with the colorway. I thought it was too pretty to just be a pair of socks, so I binge purchased 6 skeins of it and decided to crochet myself a blanket out of it. But I realized that I did want a little bit of contrast in there, and I did want it to make it look like a Battenberg cake, which is, if you're not familiar what Battenberg cake is, I will pop a photo of it here. So you can see that it does indeed resemble a Battenberg cake. But I did decide to go with this cream contrast color. I don't have a label with me, so I don't recall what line of Regia this is, but the Bergère de France is a 3-ply, and this happens to be a 4-ply. And I was a little concerned whether or not the plies would clash, if that makes any sense, or the gauge would be off, but I took a risk, and it turns out that you really cannot tell the difference. And the reason why I went with this is because it has the same fiber content in it. Both brands have an equal blend of wool and polyamide content in them, so I thought it was very compatible. Like, should I wash it, it won't warp or anything. So that is one reason why I decided to switch to the Cherry Heart version of this pattern. And the other is because it's a complete pattern. It's finished, and she gives you instructions for knitting the border, whereas Casapinka, I think she released it as a half-finished pattern. Again, completely free, there's nothing wrong with it, it's fine, but she doesn't provide instructions for grafting the squares together or a border. I think she just kind of released it as a free do as you will pattern, and then she said she'll update it at some point, but I don't think she has updated it. Anyway, yeah, I just decided the Battenberg blanket it is. So here we are, and I am enjoying it so much. Even the grafting, guys, I don't know. Can you see that? It's just so neat. It's so neat and so tidy, and on the back I have clearly a lot of ends to weave in, but I really love the finishing on this. It's just, yeah. Last but not least, I have a slight tale of woe. The last time I recorded, I shared my Misurina pullover by Caitlin Hunter, which I was thoroughly enjoying. I could not put this project down. I was making such great progress with it, and you know, I'm pretty much nearly done knitting the body, but here we are. Here's the Misurina pullover, and you're probably wondering, Kristen, what's wrong with it? I don't know if you can tell on the camera right now, but there's a lot of flashing and pooling happening. And I am alternating skeins using the helical knitting method, but yet there is still a significant amount of pooling that is occurring. And I couldn't really tell in the colorwork section, but once I got the body going, I, said to myself, oh, I can just ignore it, that's fine, blah, blah, blah. But the more I kept knitting and knitting and knitting on it, the more pooling and pooling and pooling I saw. And I realized, it's not a look I'm generally gung-ho about. So unfortunately, this may be hitting the frog pond. The yarn in question is by La Bien Aimée, her Rosa Parmar collaboration, and the yarn is beautiful. And this is not to drag La Bien Aimé's brand through the mud or anything. I love her yarns. I've had great experiences with La Bien Aimée yarns in the past, but this is just the nature of hand-dyed yarn. You don't know sometimes. Not all yarn is going to knit up evenly. It's just the nature of it. So, you do what you can to prevent pooling and stuff, using helical knitting and alternating skeins, but sometimes it happens, so it's still a beautiful yarn. I'll stand up so you can see. Yeah, I'm just kind of upset because I was really looking forward to enjoying this sweater and wearing it, but that right there, it's not a look I like. And if you're watching this and thinking about convincing me otherwise, please just save your breath. I've decided that this is just gonna hit the frog pond, and I'm going to repurpose the yarn for something else. But again, this is such a great pattern, super quick to whip up, and I do want to revisit this pattern with a different type of yarn, or colorway or what have you. So anyway, nothing bad to say about the pattern itself or La Bien Aimée. It's just, it was the wrong combination. So anyway, there we have it. So rest in peace, Misurina version number 1. Believe it or not, I have some stash acquisitions to share with you this week. And this was, I will admit, kind of an impulse buy because I realized there's a hole in my wardrobe and I kind of need to fill it ASAP. Although when I say ASAP, if I do commence with this project, I'm probably not going to have it for another 6 months. But anyway, one can try, right? So I was browsing my Ravelry queue and stumbled on this pattern called Hearten by Kim Hargreaves, and I'll pop a photo of it here. And it's just a very beautiful cropped cable-y cardigan. And as I like to do with a lot of patterns I'm considering casting on, I like to browse other projects that people have knit. And I stumbled on Constance, who has the Stitching Over the Days podcast, who, if you do not follow her on Instagram or her podcast or her YouTube channel, what are you doing with your lives? She is a huge inspiration to me when it comes to projects and her knitting and everything. She's just so incredibly talented, and everything she makes is just jaw-droppingly incredible. Did I say incredible? Anyway, check her out, but I saw that she actually knit this pattern as well, and as soon as I saw that, I'm like, I'm totally copying you, lady. So I hopped onto this British website because this pattern is only available in book form. It's not available on Amazon. You have to go through a British website, I believe, and I'll link to it all down below, but I tracked it down on this website, purchased the book, which is here. So it's called Calm. It comes with, I don't know how many patterns. There are quite a few patterns in here, all by Kim Hargreaves, and they're all just really beautiful. This tank is really beautiful. It's just very simple, clean lines. Look how cozy that looks. Yeah, so, yeah, guys, yeah. All right, so here is the sweater again, and I actually did, while I was on the site, I checked to see if they had the yarn that Kim Hargreaves used to knit the sample. They had it in stock, so I went ahead and purchased a sweater's quantity of Rowan Soft Yak DK. So here it is. It's in this really gloriously army green khaki colorway. And I was kind of hoping for a dark charcoal gray, if that makes any sense, but something about this really spoke to me. I think it matches my wall, guys. Yeah. I'm seriously going to blend into the background eventually. And I don't know what my kick is with khaki green lately. It's because this wall is supposed to be gray, but once it was up on the wall, I realized it's actually a khaki green. It's the colorway itself is, the paint color itself is called Storm Cloud, but it does have like these green undertones, which I'm completely here for, surprisingly. And this is pretty much the same. It's just like this really lovely army khaki green that I feel like will fit within my wardrobe wonderfully. So yeah, it's an interesting yarn though. It does have, believe it or not, cotton content, which I was a little on the fence about, but I think the yak content in here is what saves it. But it's 76% cotton, 15% yak, and 9% nylon. And Constance also used the same yarn. So I'm really looking forward to working with it and seeing how I like it. And yeah, I really just want that cardigan in my wardrobe. Yeah, so that is my stash acquisition. I purchased, what is it? I purchased 9 skeins of it, so that should be enough to knit the smallest size, which I believe is size 32. Anyway, I'm rambling, but that is my latest stash acquisition. And yeah, you're probably wondering about Dennis's sweater. I know. I have not forgotten about it. Dennis has been asking me about it. You have been asking me about it. What about Dennis's sweater? I'm going to pick it back up, my friends. I have not forgotten about it. The only reason I haven't been working on it was because at the time I was knitting on the sleeves and I hit a wall. I wasn't 100% sure how to execute the sleeve decreases, and I was in a place where I just didn't have the energy or wherewithal to figure it out, sit down. So I decided to table it, let it marinate a little bit, and hopefully when I come back to it very soon, I will have a fresh pair of eyes looking at the directions, and hopefully by some miracle, it will all make sense and come together. Because at the end of the day, I'm practically done with one sleeve. I just have to knit the other and then block everything and graft everything together, and Bob's your uncle, Dennis, will have a sweater. So there really is no reason for me not to finish that in the near future. And that, I believe, is all the knitting content that I have to share with you this week. Next week, hopefully I'll have a sewing episode to share with you if I have any sewing projects that I tackle over the weekend or what have you, but we shall see. I am gonna move along to the blather segment, a segment where I chat about what's been happening in my life, should you care to stick around. And yeah, so I'm trying to think life stuff. Yeah, this a couple of weeks ago, I think, was Labor Day weekend here in the United States. And I will say, like, I was feeling incredibly burned out between work and life stuff and everything. I just really had to slow down and needed a change of pace. I needed to break the cycle, so to speak. So Dennis had the brilliant idea of just getting out of the city, getting a hotel in Long Beach, Long Island. Long Beach is just a quick 1-hour drive out of the city. And yeah, we spent 2 full days at the beach. We stayed overnight at a hotel. This is the first time that we actually stayed at a hotel since COVID got all crazy. And I will admit I was a little nervous about doing it, but to be honest, I felt very safe. People were taking precautions, you know, they limited, 2 people per elevator ride. So, you know, if you can imagine at a hotel, Dennis and I, thankfully we were on the 3rd floor, so we just walked it every day. We got a little exercise in. Speaking of exercise, I started wearing my Fitbit again, which has kind of been hibernating for over a year, but you know, being at home a lot, I want to make sure that I'm getting my steps in. So this guy has been on my wrist as of late. So, you know, making sure I'm getting those steps in. But yeah, we spent 2 days in Long Beach. It was really nice, really peaceful. And after that, I took the whole week off to do absolutely nothing. And it was glorious. So seriously, I really did nothing but knit on my projects. For the most part, I disconnected from social media. So if you've been wondering where I am, if I'm okay, I'm okay. I'm okay, guys. I really just needed to completely disconnect, recharge, and, you know, just breathe, if that makes any sense. And that's what I did, and I'm just so happy to be back, guys. I'm ready to jump back into things, albeit at a more manageable pace. Again, I have a tendency to bite off more than I can chew, and I don't realize that I'm burned out or stressed out until it's too late, and I realize, holy cow, Kristen, you need to slow down. So it was really good to do that. And again, I'm happy to be back. I'm gonna end things there. Thank you so much as always for hanging out with me. I hope wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe, staying creative, and doing well. And until the next video, oh yes, and if you did enjoy this video and you haven't already, feel free to like and subscribe down below. And until next time, happy knitting, happy sewing, happy making, and I'll see you next time. Bye.